About our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericabusiness.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
There are business leaders that are making so much more than profit in their enterprises. They're elevating their businesses, teams, and themselves to add more value. And so can you. Welcome to the Chris Cooper Business Elevation Show with host Chris Cooper. If you were looking for ways to elevate success while contributing to a better world, you'll want to listen in for the next hour. Now here's your host, Chris Cooper.
Hello, this is Chris Cooper, and a huge welcome to the Business Elevation Show on Voice America. It's great to be back with you for another week. We've got another amazing guest today. We've got Arnon Barnes. We're going to be talking about winning the game of business. And just want to say a big thank you to Daniel Wood for introducing Arnon and I. And Daniel's a great friend of mine based up in Sweden, and owns a wealth institute up there as a real property magnate and guru. And he also very kindly introduced me to the guest last week as well, Marcus D. Maria. And Marcus, I believe, knows Arnon actually. And adds a little theme here the last 2 weeks. And Marcus was talking to us about how to use your money wisely. And we talked about cryptocurrencies and all sorts of different things, and I got very excited about it as well. And my son's got very excited about his program. I think he wants to join it with me too, and several of my clients have as well. So a great session with Marcus last week. And today we're going to be talking about winning the game of business, and in these very strange times at the moment with the pandemic, a lot of people are thinking right now about their businesses and how to develop them, how to grow them. And I think Arnon is the perfect person to talk to here. He's a master entrepreneurial coach, a peak performance trainer. He's developed all sorts of programs to help entrepreneurs. And he's got a really, really interesting background. And his first business was at the age of 11. He's lived in various countries. We'll find out more about that. And he's actually successfully trained and mentored over 40,000 people from all over the world, South Africa and Switzerland, Germany, the UK, you name it, and helped some of them just achieve shocking increases in their performance and turnover. So he's written a couple of books. His second one is about to come out shortly. A big welcome to Arnon. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Chris. I'm very excited, honored, and humbled to be here. Just a quick shout out to our man, Daniel Woods in Sweden for the introduction. Looking forward to this interview, to this conversation. Let's get real and raw to all the listeners, everybody tuning in.
That sounds good. And I'm just really interested about your background. Different, really. You started life in South Africa. Tell us a little bit about that, and tell us about what you learnt growing up in the south of an amazing continent.
I grew up in a small city. Most of the listeners probably have never heard of it, called Johannesburg. Born in South Africa. My parents were middle class. And I lived there until I was a young teenager before I left South Africa. And the reason I say that is because I was actually living in South Africa during the period at the end of apartheid, kind of when Nelson Mandela was just released from prison. Yeah. And during that time in South Africa, there was a lot of conflict between the white man and the black man, and there was a lot going on. But being Jewish and growing up in a Jewish household, we were never brought up with color. We didn't identify with black, white, pink, or green. Everyone was just, you are you, I am me. And in fact, I grew up having an African mum who became like my second mum. Initially, she was our housekeeper, but she became a part of the family. And in fact, when we used to go on holiday, she used to come with us on holiday, and her daughters became my sisters. And I remember, when we used to go to restaurants or we used to go out, my mum would take all the kids together and we used to go. And it was very unfamiliar to most people. It would have been even alien for you to go out with black kids. But my mum didn't see color. We never grew up with color. So I think if I look back at South Africa, one of the biggest lessons that I took from growing up in a multicultural environment that was actually during the time being suppressed by the regime, and black is black and white is white, is that kindness is the most important thing. Looking back today with the eyes of a little bit more wisdom and the gray hairs that I have on my beard, is that kindness prevails. And one of the things that I learned growing up in South Africa, regardless of the media and everything that was circulating around, black is black, white is white, is that in my household, we never had that. And it was all about just being kind towards each other.
Yeah. Was that the nature of your your Jewish background and the beliefs that you had? Because I mean, the fact that she was your housekeeper, suggests maybe you weren't her housekeeper. That maybe and I'm starting to realize this myself. That we have had some privilege, haven't we?
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things that we never grew up at home, my parents never put us above anybody else. We used to eat dinner together. We used to laugh, talk. It wasn't distance. Sometimes you have distance. Oh, the employees and the owners of the company. And that taught me a tremendous lesson about we can work together and be family, be friends, be in the same tribe. And that became very apparent at a young age. And it was a great lesson for me. Also, remember, coming from a Jewish background, in some way, in some shape, in some form, there was also this energy of, we don't want to make too much noise because we're the minority. So I guess there was also that kind of, we could relate to their struggle as well. Yeah. And that kind of brought us together.
Yeah. So my mind's going back to standing in Nelson Mandela's former cell in Robben Island. If you've been there, but
not yet.
But that is and then the quarry where he worked, and hearing about the story. I mean, I'll never forget it. Just never forget it. What happened there. Yeah, very inspiring man. And you then moved to Israel. Surely that was a massive cultural change for you.
The correct words are cultural shock. Cultural shock. So here I am, this well-mannered South African young boy. I was 14 years old at the time when my parents decided the situation in South Africa was there was too much violence, there was too much challenges, and it just didn't match our values and our philosophies. And my parents decided, even though my parents were divorced at the time, they had a great relationship. My parents, mom and dad, decided, it's time to relocate. And as a 14-year-old, you don't pretty much have a say in these things. You do as you are told. And so I relocated to Israel, and I went from being this, well-mannered South African young man, boy, young teenager, going to school with a tie and dressed up accordingly, to moving to Israel, where things are a little bit more energetic, let's call it that way. Yeah, so it's very different lifestyles. And I always say, growing up with being brought up in South Africa and growing up in Israel gave me the best of both worlds. On one hand, I've got the polite and the softness, but then I've got the warrior energy when I need it to GSD, get shit done.
Yeah.
And I think we need both.
And there's this sort of Yiddish kind of saying of chutzpah. Chutzpah, yeah, and chutzpah. And I'd interviewed someone quite a good few months ago, and we talked about this, because that kind of energy, that kind of philosophy, does seem to contribute to Israeli businesses doing really well, doesn't it? That kind of that energy, that tenacity, that courage.
Definitely something there. Yes.
Yeah. So So you kind of acquired some of that in Israel, the kindness, but then this warrior sort of spirit, and you then went to Canada, and then I think London. I think and you live in Holland at the moment. You know, you're all over the place. But what took you to Canada? What did you learn there? Because you were in sales, I believe.
Yeah. So so I was living in Israel. I went to the army. I spent 3 years in the army. I was in the military, and I literally left the army broke, financially completely broke. And at the time, I was dating a lady who had arranged an opportunity for us to move to Canada and work in sales in Canada. And I remember leaving Israel, going for the job that was set up for me in Canada, a sales position. I remember having $800 in my pocket and the clothes on my back and a return ticket home if all shit hit the fan. And that's all I had. That's all I was worth. And it was one of the most powerful experiences. And looking back in hindsight, I'm so grateful that I had a partner, my girlfriend at the time, to travel with, because the reality is I don't think back then I actually had the courage to do it on my own. Yeah. So even though obviously today we're not together, or maybe it's not that obvious, but we're not together. I mean, we're talking, 20 years ago. But the reality is she played such an important role with me almost spreading my wings and discovering what is out there. Because I also felt when I left the army and I was in Israel, I felt it was home, but I felt my spirit needed a bigger place to express itself. Yeah. Hence Canada, hence the UK. And obviously now I'm in my residence in Holland right now, but I am an international businessman. I do have a UK company and I do business around the world. And, you mentioned when you introduced me, I have coached and trained over 40,000 people. That number is closer to 100,000 people by now. Wow. From around 65 different countries. So I'm very blessed. And before the pandemic, I used to do 80, 90 flights on average a year, traveling and standing on stages and just having the gift and the blessing of changing people's lives, saying something, sharing an idea, giving a person a hug or kick up the ass when they needed it, just to make that small shift that can change their perspective, that changed their life. Mm-hmm. So that's what took me to Canada. I had a sales opportunity there, and I had a girlfriend at the time, and she said, let's go. And I said, why not? And that was history.
And do you think, having an experience like your 3 years in the Israeli army, I've got a friend, you might know him, a guy called Chad Barr, who's based in Canada. And Chad is also from Israel, and he did the service in Israel. I always remember saying to him, Chad, what was it that, how is it that you have had that kind of, that energy to go and build your businesses internationally? What was it? And he said, well, Chris said, picking up the phone and talking to people was easy, when you consider that I had bullets flying around my head while I was in the Israeli army. Everything seems easy compared to that. And I've got a number of friends who've been in like the SAS military, and they've gone on to great heights because, again, they've been through that enormous, period of discipline.
It's funny you mentioned the word discipline. When people say to me, what are the 3 greatest things I got out of being in the army? It's number 1, working in a team, working as a team, because in an army, you work in platoons, or you work in tribes, or you work in groups. And that's very powerful. It's I've got your back, you've got my back. And there isn't like, we're going to, it's every man for himself. There's a very tight code of honor that brings people together, which is, by the way, exactly what I bring into companies that I coach. I create a code of honor, not terms and conditions, a code of honor. Because in reality, when bullets are flying, like your friend, when bullets are flying near you, what holds people together? It's a tight code of honor. And that's one of the things when I look at businesses, when I go into an organization, people put themselves first, the team second, and the mission third. Or themselves first, the mission second, and then the team last. And it's got to be the other way around. It's got to be mission first, team second, and then the individual last. So if I look back at the army specifically, the things that I got out of them, number one was discipline, working as a team. Number one was working as a team with people and working together. Number two, that tremendous amount of discipline. You don't mess around with your sergeant major, because otherwise you're going to suffer at night. Trust me. And the third thing would have been focus, tremendous amounts of dedicated, committed focus. When you've got a goal and you've got a mission and you've got to make it happen, that's all you focus on. And so some great lessons definitely I took out of the army.
Yeah, that sort of combination with all that business experience as well. And I'm kind of intrigued, really, what to you is winning the game of business? Is it all about money? Is there more to it than that?
I think one of the key things about winning in the business game is actually having fun.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget that life is like a playground, and as an adult, we've forgotten how to play. And business is just a form of art. A lot of people like to paint a canvas with a paintbrush and create, paintings. I use business as my canvas to express myself. Entrepreneurship is just a form of expression. And I love to express myself and have fun. And if you're expressing yourself in something you're passionate about and you're having fun, adding value to the marketplace, the money will follow.
Yes.
People who focus on the money are focusing on the wrong thing. And I'm sure they've heard this 100 times, but money is always the byproduct of the value you add to the marketplace.
Yeah. And it's, being in business, it's your life, isn't it? Probably, as far as we know, we probably only get one of them. So,
I always say to my students, we all live and we all have two lives. And our second life begins when we realize that we only have one life.
Yeah. It makes an awful lot of sense. So I'm really pleased that you've said that. I'm pleased that for you, winning the game of business is not that about winning at all cost. It's about the overall holistic picture and enjoying life's journey. And if you're right, if you enjoy life's journey, you're going to want to see Arnon Barnes on a stage somewhere around the world, because actually it's going to make you feel good too.
Yeah, and unfortunately, people sometimes come to me for a cuddle and they get their ass kicked, because that's what they need in that moment at that time. And I work a lot with intuition, and I work with feeling and energy, and I'm very sensitive, so I feel where people are at. So people do come for sometimes a cuddle, and then they get a different vibration, but it's exactly what their spirit needed at that time.
Yeah, that's good. Actually, I've got a guy who's given me some mentoring for a number of years, and my brief to him was, I've had coaches for years. I coach myself and mentor, but I need you to kick my ass sometimes. Yeah, and that's great. We're going to go to commercial break now. After the break, we're going to find out, much more around Arnon's views around, being really successful in this pandemic and taking yourself and your business and your mindset forward, such that you have more fun, but actually you deliver more value. So we'll be back again in just a couple of minutes.
And we're clear.
Good, excellent. How's this for you, Arnon?
Done this so many times.
Yeah.
to be honest, I say that with great respect. So yeah, it's just, for me, it's just another Tuesday.
Another Tuesday. There's Friday, isn't it?
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. So tell us why, for anybody, if we choose to use this film at some point, why you've got Che Guevara sitting behind you, looking at us. Does he inspire you in some ways? Did he?
Well, he was a freedom fighter. And I fight for freedom, but I fight for financial freedom. One of my missions in life is to assist and help as many people build and create financial freedom so they can live a life of health, wealth, abundance, happiness, joy, and love.
Excellent. I like, so you're very, very multifaceted.
Yeah, you have to be in today's environment. You can't be one-dimensional.
No. I like that. You get into what's important.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because I'm all about helping people create wealth, and wealth is not only money. it's joy, it's happiness, it's a great relationship, it's, freedom, it's travel, it's experiences. I've developed the Safari leadership experience for business owners and business leaders, where I take people down to Africa with me, to South Africa, and we do safaris, but not normal safaris. We do walking safaris.
10 seconds.
Because for years I wanted to fill up my bank account, and now I'm focused on filling up my experience account.
Yeah.
All right, guys, here we go.
You are tuned into the Business Elevation Show with your host, Chris Cooper. If you have a question or comment about our show, please direct your emails to chris@chriscooper.co.uk. That's chris@chriscooper.co.uk. Now back to Chris Cooper.
Hi, this is Chris Cooper. I'm with Arnon Barnes. And during the break, we were just chatting about Arnon's got this lovely artwork behind him, really. I don't know, we call it a sculpture or an artwork, or of Che Guevara. And you were just explaining to us why you have this freedom fighter currently looking at me at the moment in the screen. Do you want to just explain for people who are...
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of art, and I love art. I've got some very unique pieces that I collect, and that's actually a limited edition. There's only 18 in the world, so I'm very blessed to have Mr. Che Guevara looking over my shoulder. It's actually a very heavy piece, but the reason why I have that piece is because, like I mentioned, Chris, at the break, is that Che Guevara was well known as a freedom fighter, and I see myself as a freedom fighter as well. And I want to help people achieve their financial freedom. I honestly don't believe that we've been put on this planet to do the 9 to 5 until we're 65. And so, a lot of people have been indoctrinated into, go to school, get good grades, go to university, get a degree, work your ass off, and then retire at 65 and then die. And I don't believe we've been put on the planet for that. And so Che Guevara is just a reminder that I'm here to help people with my mission, which is to assist and help as many people build and create financial freedom, live a happy, healthy, wealthy, abundant life full of joy and love.
Wonderful. Great mission. Great reason for being, to do all that. And what's your perspective at the moment? You're not standing on stages all over the world now. You'll be doing things remotely, I'm guessing. But what's been your experience of this pandemic, and where do you see the opportunities for business moving forward?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that has come across very clearly in the last 12 or so months is that, people think that Darwin said survival of the fittest. Well, actually, he didn't say that. He said survival of the most adaptable. And there's two groups of people right now. There's the first kind, which are retreating, and they're waiting for the world to open up, and, we're going to, hibernate and hide under the blanket until things get better. And there's the other group that are being proactive and saying, okay, how do I evolve? How do I adapt? How do I change my business model? But most importantly, change my mindset as the owner, as the leader, and adapt to this new world or this new current climate that we are temporarily living through. Now, will things go back to normal in 6, 12, 18, 24 months? I think the jury's still out on that. But the reality is that things have changed. Indeed, I'm not on stages traveling around the world. Right now, I'm doing virtual events, and I do a business owners masterclass, which is a virtual event where I am live and I'm teaching, but instead of being in a classroom, I'm doing it in my studio. So things have definitely changed. And from my perspective, the benefits of, look, we live in a world of yin and yang, right? Where there's good, there's bad. Where there's bad, there's good. And it just depends where you focus. And if you choose to focus on the bad, well, the bad will expand, and all you see is the bad. I always say to people, there's two kinds of people on the planet. You hand both of them a donut, and one of them will focus on the whole, and the other person will focus on everything but the whole. Yeah. The sprinkles, the flavoring, the smell, the coloring, and so which person are you? Are you the kind that focus on the whole, everything that's wrong, everything that's bad, or are you the person that focus on the sprinkles, the coloring, and the smell and the texture? And I think right now, in the last 12 months or so, it's been very clear about who's focusing on what. And, for me specifically, having traveled during or before the pandemic, during normal times, 80, 90 flights a year, which is on average, every 4 or 5 days I would be on a plane. It's given me the gift of actually coming down to earth and pretty much, finding out what's really important to me, taking care of myself, being more connected to my family, especially my son. I'm a very proud father. My boy's 8 years old. And the reality is, with all the travel, yes, I was with him, but in a very different way than I am today. And so again, we've all been dealt a certain deck of cards. Also in life, I'm sure as a kid, you've gone through your challenges, your obstacles, and we all have had our own fair dish of shit, but it's not the cards that are dealt to us what's important, it's how we play those cards. And we've all been dealt a very turbulent 2020 and 2021, with all fairness. But the question is not the cards you've been dealt, but how you play that deck of cards that you're holding. Yeah. And this is where mindset comes into play. Because you're either look, you live in one of two energies. Either you're a victim, a person who is going to be a destroyer, or you're going to be a creator. And a lot of people fall into the victim energy or the destruction energy. And it's often self-destruction. And we all have the ability to be creators. And we're always living in one of two energies at any given time. Either you're living in the energy of destroying or the energy of creating. Yeah. And I've chosen over the last 12 months and even the last few years, I refuse to fall into the trap of being a destroyer, someone who destroys and is in destruction. I just want to create. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, when the pandemic happened, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I was confused. I was in shock. I had uncertainty. I didn't know whether I was Arthur or Martha. I didn't know if I was coming or going. But when the smoke, moved on and we could see a little bit more clearly and we realized what's happening in the world and we could come back to center, ask better questions. And then we said, okay, well, let's get on with it. And we started doing virtual events and we started to serve and help people, maybe in a different way, but still doing what we're passionate about doing. And I think that's really the distinction about the winners and the learners. People, if you look back at history, Joseph Kennedy, who was the father of JFK, the former president of the United States. So Joseph Kennedy's father, in 1929, he was worth around $3.8 million. By 1935, he was worth $180 million. How did he do that? Now, if you recall, what happened between 1929 and 1935? Well, it was the Great Depression. So what did he do that other people didn't do? And it's, he educated himself. He surrounded himself with like-minded he surrounded himself with like-minded people that had a championship mindset, that people that didn't want to quit, people who were creators. And, he went from $3.8 million in 1929 to $180 million, which is the equivalent of $3 billion today. Wow. And so, Winston Churchill said, never waste a good crisis. And unfortunately, a lot of people have wasted this crisis. And by the way, it's not over to, get back on your feet and take advantage of it. Because remember, we live in a world of duality. If there's on one side, there's crisis, on the other side, there's opportunity.
Yeah. So I really resonate with that. And like you, I found myself, unsettled for a few weeks when all of this started. But actually, I've also found it one of the most fascinating periods of my life in terms of the reflection I've done and the reflection I've done about what I kind of offer and my thinking. It's been such a rich period of time to shift paradigms and look at your belief system and change really. And I've thoroughly I'll look back on this time and be grateful for it. I think
when we things are starting to slowly reopen up and restaurants and I've had a lot of pain in the last 12 months. I'm very passionate about working with business owners, business leaders from all over the world. And the hit that business owners have taken has been tremendous. It's been painful. I mean, I've literally felt so sad and depressed. And, you know, being in a position where I live a life of, you know, being financially free and being someone who's done relatively well financially for myself, I would walk into a shop with so much pain and just gladly support the entrepreneur, the business owner, because I know that the suffering is tremendous. People that have been working for 20, 30 years in their business, on their shop, on their vision, had to close down. And unfortunately, in some way, in some shape or form, have been wiped out or destroyed, or maybe in the best case scenario, just hurt tremendously. And so it's been a revitalizing experience for me to look at myself and say how grateful I am that I really fixed my roof when the sun was shining.
Yeah,
and that's one of the big things I see. A lot of people, you know, they're being hurt right now is because when the sun was shining, when their business was doing well, they didn't get the coaching, they didn't further educate themselves, they didn't invest, they didn't, you know, hire the coach or whatever it is. And they, you know, as they call me now and they say, listen, my business is about to go bankrupt. And I was like, why didn't you call me a year ago? And they say, well, a year ago, everything was great. And that's the great lesson that I'm taking from this, is that you want to fix your roof when the sun is shining, not when there's a hurricane outside.
Yeah, oh, that's a really good reality reminder. I certainly, I was thinking this week I've got a bit of a sore stomach this week, which I'm normally very fit and very well, and I think some of that has been the volume of people that I've been talking to and helping, and some of the challenges that they've been having. You know, I think I've had a lot more. You know, I think I've 10 sessions with clients this week in the last four days, and some of the challenges they're having are really tough, and it's impacting relationships and things like that too. So you're right. I feel now thinking, yeah, I am fortunate, but I am also seeing those challenges. And how are you advising people when you're working these people who are challenging you, helping them maybe turn things around? What are the kind of common issues, and what are you recommending with your mentoring that they do?
I think the first thing is to be courageous, and to live in less fear. I think there's a lot of mediums out there, whether it be the media or whatever it is, that are pumping tremendous amounts of fear. Also, the lack of leadership has been very, very apparent during the last 12 months, at least it's been in Europe, where leaders who, you know, when it's time for elections, they come out with strong voices, but in reality, it's been rather disappointing, let me put it that way, to see how when you need a good leader, how they are not really there. So what I'm recommending people is to live in less fear, be more courageous, trust themselves, trust their immune system, eat good, drink good, sleep good, live a life of gratitude, be in an energy of love, be in an energy of kindness, be in an energy of gratitude. I think that's very foundational. That's the key. Yeah. I believe that winning in business and in life, I look, you know, when you say to me, define business, if you would have said to me, define business 2, 3, 4 years ago, I would say, okay, well, here are a few key words that would define business. Clients, customers, profitability, adding value, and you know, raising capital, you know, those flat words. But if you say to me now in 2021, after this pandemic and during this pandemic, hopefully we're at the end of it, if you say to me, Arnon, define business now, I'd say, first of all, business is a spiritual game. And when people say, what do you mean? I say, okay, check this out. If I were to define business today, I'd say, be kinder, care more, and add more value than you've ever added. Yeah. And those are spiritual energies. So the first thing fundamentally, I recommend my clients to, you know, eat better, sleep better, drink more water, work out, live in gratitude, live in love, and express more kindness. And from there we build up. But that would definitely be the foundation with everyone across the board, that's the vibration we need to put in the universe before moving forward.
Yeah, it's what you really do. You're taking them back to what's truly important.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, about being a human being.
Yeah, because a lot of people, their mindset has been swept up and dragged through the mud over the last 12 months with the media and the fear and the the pandemic and all this stuff. And it's like, oh, hold on, let's come back to basics, and let's go inside instead of looking outside. And that's where power is. Power lives inside. It doesn't live outside of us.
Yeah.
And so when you take back your power and you stand in your power, now you have the capacity, the ability to actually make a dent in the universe.
Yeah. So you also you're taking them back. It's very hard in this world at the moment to find the truth, but things like love are the truth, aren't they? They are what's actually is at the core. And I've been very mindful that I've spoken to a lot of people during the pandemic, as you have, and done a lot of interviews. And I've been surprised about people's beliefs, around politics, in particular, around what's happening with the pandemic and vaccines and these sorts of things. And I think the real need right now to get back to what the things that are true, and also to just protect your subconscious mind, because you can easily allow it to be hijacked by others.
Jim Rohn, one of my many mentors, he said, you've got to stand guard at the gates of your mind every day.
Yes.
And I believe that to be true. I honestly believe that you've got to choose the people you allow into your inner circle, into your tribe, very carefully and very cautiously. You can't allow negativity and all that fear and dark energy to enter your space, because we have it naturally. And then if you have someone putting more of it into your system, into your subconscious or into your conscious, that's just gonna make you it's not going to serve you. It's not going to support you. It's definitely not going to put you in your power. And so one of the things that has been a gift for me in the last 12 months or so is I've gotten to know who are really the people that, when things are good, everybody's in their power. But when there's challenges and obstacles, that's where you get to see who the real leaders are.
Yeah.
And so it's been a blessing for me to see now who the real leaders are and who are the people who are just all talk.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, good note to go to the final commercial break. And then after the break, we'll explore that a bit more and gain some top insights from Arnon about how to move forward. So back again with you again in just a couple of minutes.
All right, we're clear.
Excellent. Be interesting to know who are the real leaders then, Arnon?
Well, I'll tell you what, you spoke to Marcus de Maria last week.
Yeah.
Marcus is actually one of my business partners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he mentioned that on the call or not, but he's a true leader. I mean, what a great guy, very smart. Helped me a lot with my cryptocurrency investing and, diversifying my assets. A lot of companies right now are stuck in cash. If you don't have assets on your balance sheet, you're hurting yourself. And by the way, Bitcoin, Ethereum is an asset. So, I mean, I've done ridiculously well in these last 12 months. I mean, I've taken a small few €100,000 and turned it into almost 2 million. So, it's ridiculous. And so he's one. But in general, also friends, you get to see who's all fear-based and who's all media-driven and who, the government says this. I'm like, okay, well, power to you.
Yeah.
All right, guys, here we go.
This network.
You are tuned into the Business Elevation Show with your host, Chris Cooper. If you have a question or comment about our show, please direct your emails to chris@chriscooper.co.uk. That's chris@chriscooper.co.uk. Now back to Chris Cooper.
Hi, this is Chris Cooper. I'm with Arnon Barnes. We're talking about winning the game of business. And what we've really, I think, discovered through this conversation is that you have to get to the truth at the moment. Guard your subconscious mind, but get to the truth about what's important. Manage your state each day. Gratitude, love, kindness, these things are essential. But also, I think you were sharing that, you shared that example of Kennedy's father. And actually, there are people who are very savvy, very smart, who have been able in these times of challenge for many people to actually make an awful lot of money. So what would be, from your wisdom and your experience, what would be maybe some key kind of gems that you would, that have inspired you, but when you're working with your clients, make all the difference, enable them to make, a quantum shift?
I think one of the key things is, especially for business owners and business leaders, because those are the primary people that I work with and coach and train. One of the key things is to understand that change is inevitable. And either it's going to come through pain or it's going to come through pleasure. And if we can do it through an energy of pleasure, it's better. So change is inevitable. That's very apparent. I think another thing that's been very important that is, I help my clients do is to do spin-offs. And what is a spin-off? A lot of people might start a certain business, but as they're in this business for 1, 2, 5, 10, 20 years, they don't realize that actually they've discovered problems in that marketplace because they've got so much experience in that they could actually develop a new product or a new service or a new software that could tremendously help the industry because it's a problem that he or she is facing every day, every week, every month, every year. So one of the key things, we're talking about, evolve or die or change or, adapt or die. One of the key things that has tremendously helped is to be able to come from a different perspective. And that's one of the things I help business owners with, because a lot of business owners are so stuck in the forest, they can't see the trees anymore.
Yeah.
And then I'm non-attached. I'm not emotional about the business. Everybody looks at their business and it's the most beautiful business in the world. It's like looking at your baby, right? Nobody holds up their own baby and says, wow, you're ugly, right? But I come in and I give them the truth and I say, look, we've got to change 1 or 2 things. And I explain to them why and what are the upsides and what are the benefits. And that's been tremendous in the last 12 months, where a lot of my clients that coach with me have seen me on stage. They know my energy. They know my vibration. They know that I come from an energy of kindness and serving. And so they're open to receive that kind of feedback. So it definitely would be to be able to pivot and ultimately create a spin-off from the main core business and then generate an extra department, a revenue department in the business, so an extra stream of income almost. Another thing that has been very important and continues to be important is I always make sure that my clients understand that it's not how much money you make and it's not how much money you keep, but it's what you do with what you keep. I mentioned in the break to you, one of the key things that is very important is, first of all, with everything that's going on in the world today and the endless printing of money and dollars and euros and all that, if you think that your government right now is not broke, is not bankrupt, you're naive. You're naive. And so if you have cash in your business, you've got to make sure that you start moving towards harder assets on your balance sheet, whether it be owning gold, silver, Bitcoin, real estate, whatever it is. And that's one of the key things that I teach my clients. It's all about money mastery. A lot of people don't even understand what money is. And if you say to someone, explain to me what inflation is, they look at you like you've fallen off the tree. And so one of the key things that has tremendously helped my clients is to relocate or reposition their assets, their cash, into better assets that are creating better yields and more formidable during these times, and ultimately giving them better returns to secure the future and the treasury of their business. I mean, we've seen Elon Musk do it. He moved over $1 billion into Bitcoin in this specific case scenario. A lot of people are buying crypto. A lot of people are investing in gold. Some people are buying up real estate. But the reality is cash is trash. And we aren't taught cash in school. We aren't taught money in school. And so you've got people who's sitting on cash, but it's actually a melting iceberg.
Yes.
And this is where I come in. All I do is I create more than anything, I create awareness around subjects. And, my job is to make the invisible become visible, because now you can see it, you can actually do something with it. Yeah. So those are definitely a few of those points that I work with business owners and business leaders.
Yeah. That's really got me thinking that, cash is a melting iceberg. It really is, isn't it? And it's, I've had this conversation with several of my clients this week, actually, about their own, one couple of them who would like to be earning more money, but actually the question was, well, what are you doing with the money that you've already got? And is that earning for you? Because actually your income doesn't just have to come from your salary.
And this is the one fundamental thing that can change everything. Once you understand that your money is like an iceberg and it's melting, you've got to work 20, 30 times harder to maintain your same position.
Yeah.
And if you reposition yourself and you reposition that money into a stronger asset, like if you look at the jungle, right? Cash might be, cash might be the gazelle, whereas gold might be the elephant, or Bitcoin might be the lion. Now, if you're in a jungle and you need to survive because it's a dangerous place, would you rather be the gazelle or be the lion?
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. And unfortunately, it boils down to a lack of education. People are not understanding where the world is going to and the world that we're living in and what's being created. And again, I'm not here to say it's good or bad or right or wrong. I'm just saying it is what it is. And so one of the key things that I teach my coaching clients is how to win the game of business within the rules, even though we didn't create the rules. And that's really important. And so money mastery, I'm really big on that. And sometimes all you have to do is reposition yourself just 5 degrees to the left or 5 degrees to the right, and everything changes. Yeah. And, even though, like you said, I haven't been doing any speaking events, I also buy companies and I teach business owners how to acquire businesses. And I even show them how to do it with none of their own cash. And it's been a tremendously difficult period in the last 12 months to, buy companies, because obviously due diligence is difficult because of social distancing and, lockdowns and everything. But we've still managed to acquire a multi-million-pound business, which I'm closing on in 3 weeks from the recording from when we're doing this live session. But in 3 weeks, I'm acquiring a multi-million-pound business in the UK. And we did the whole due diligence during the pandemic. And yes, it took longer and it was more difficult, but we never quit. We never gave up. We kept on pursuing. And actually, for me, it's been a historic event to buy a business through such a different mindset and with so many restrictions. But the reality is, if business owners and business leaders who are basically the wheels turning the economy, if we can empower them and get them to see business and experience business and ultimately do business with a stronger mindset when they're standing in their power, that can have a massive ripple effect on everyone.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And how do you see, at the moment, we also, the world feels like it's at a bit of a crossroads. It is, climate change, environment. You mentioned wildlife there, nature. You come from Africa, and I'm sure you love that too. I can see the elephant behind you, and I think we've got elephants from Africa and various things in our house. But how through business can we also contribute to a better world? How are you doing that? It's great building the assets and things like that and investing, etc. But how do we ensure that our ripple effect also contributes to a better world and doesn't utilize more resources, etc.?
Absolutely. And I think this is where social responsibility comes into play. I can only speak for myself here. One of the things that I'm big on, you just mentioned the elephant peeking over my shoulder, which actually is from Africa. We brought him all the way from Africa. He's also very heavy. He's a big boy. But the reality is, for me, one of the key things that I do is through my business, I've developed something called the Safari Leadership Experience. Once a year, I take a very select and exclusive small group of entrepreneurs, business leaders down to South Africa with me. And we go into South Africa, we go to the bush, and we do a safari. But these are safaris that are not normal safaris. These are walking safaris. So when most people jump on a Jeep to go see animals, we actually are walking in the bush to find the animals. Now, some of the listeners might hear that and be freaking out right now, but I guarantee you it's very safe. We take, safety measures. Safety is our highest priority when we do these things. And one of the ways I take social responsibility is by introducing great entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, students of mine to one of the greatest classrooms in the world, which is nature. And, we contribute to different activities in nature by giving back. And one of the things we do is we collar lions to protect the lions. We tag elephants to make sure the elephants are safe. We also do dehorning of rhinos, which I know for some people who don't understand or not familiar with that prospect, a lot of poachers come into the bush, kill the rhinos just to take off their horns. And so unfortunately and sadly, we go in, we remove the horns without hurting the animal, so that when poachers come to kill the animal, they see it without a horn, they just leave the animal and hope that maybe next year it grows a horn and they can kill it. But then obviously our work is continuous. So through my work, I contribute to conservation work by protecting the animals and doing, protecting rhinos and elephants and lions, not only for the beauty of nature, but also for our children, that when they grow up and their children, they can go hopefully to the wild and see these beautiful, majestic animals thriving and ultimately living safely. So I think as an entrepreneur, as a business leader, as someone who is committed to, giving, and I think that's one of the big things. A lot of people live a life of taking. And if you can change that mindset and come from an energy of giving, you can change everything. And if you want to change the world, start with changing yourself. And every drop in the bucket is important. And so from my perspective, only from my perspective, because like you mentioned, I am connected to the bush. I grew up in South Africa. I am African. I have a calling to do something in nature, and I'm very glad and humbled that my business allows me to do that.
Wow. Well, I think if anybody's, has the opportunity to go and do that with you, that sounds like an amazing experience. I did something a little similar in Kenya, and spent some time in the biggest slum in Africa, in Kibera, and time with the Maasai tribe as well. I was sort of part of a leadership experience, and I just recommend it to anybody. It's one of the best things I've ever done. I'll never forget trying to have a wee in the bush at night with hyenas around us, and a Maasai with a spear standing guard with me. It was the most difficult experience I've ever had.
But that's where leaders are born.
Yeah.
Through that, because you see, if you can, you mentioned your friend in the army, me being in the army, and if you can handle that, you can handle it. The reason I developed the Safari Leadership Experience is to strengthen leaders. Yeah. The world needs now better, bigger leaders more than ever before.
I couldn't agree more.
And so if you can walk in the bush amongst the lions, the leopards, and be in that environment, when you come back to this world, trust me, everything seems easy.
And you appreciate it, don't you? Well, Arnon, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, Seb. Absolutely loved it. And if people want to get involved with you, arnonbarnes.com, is there anything else they need to know?
Yeah, I'm very easy to find. So arnonbarnes.com. You can go into Instagram, Arnon Barnes, LinkedIn. I'm big on LinkedIn. So Arnon Barnes, Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find everywhere. So that's definitely where they can find me and connect to me, which I would love to obviously connect with.
Fantastic. I know you're doing amazing work around the world. I apologize for calling you Barnes and not Barnes. That sounds got the pronunciation. I should have asked you beforehand. My mistake. But it has been really inspiring. And what I've really enjoyed is, I wasn't quite sure how this was going to be today, but what I've sensed with you through this conversation is your humility, that you care. It is about love. It is about also, just being prepared to pivot a little bit and diversify and make your money work for you. while also looking at how you can contribute to a better picture and be a better leader. Because as you're right, I completely agree. The world needs better leaders right now, and it's great to be talking to one of them. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Kind words. And as always, it's a pleasure to be invited to these kind of conversations. And hopefully, if I can just inspire one person with one thing that I said, then I fulfilled my mission here.
Fantastic. So arnonbarnes.com. And on next week's show, we've got, who we've got next week. We've got Mark Sefton. Mark's on a TV show called Inside, he's got a book called Inside Job. He's got a TV show, One More Round. He's an amazing guy, and he's going to talk to us about, again, probably we'll build on some of this theme about, why it is an inside job when it comes to success. And he works with multi-millionaire entrepreneurs, why it is an inside job to develop yourself, to go out there and achieve more, make a bigger contribution through yourself and through your business. So back with you again next week. Arnon Barnes, been an absolute pleasure, and lovely to meet Che Guevara behind you as well. And we'll see you soon. Take care.
And we're clear. Great show, guys.
Great. Thank you.
Great. Good.
All right, Chris, I got a boogie here. Get to my next show. You have a fantastic week, my friend.
Thank you. Brilliant.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnon. Take care.
Thank you. I enjoyed that.
Likewise. Thank you so much. I'm always humbled and honored when I get asked to, contribute or to spread light. So yeah. that was good.
Well, you did that. It was really good. And you gave me a few bits of food for thought as well, which I'll be reflecting on over the weekend. Which is good. So yeah, been lovely to talk to you. If I can help you in any way, let me know. If you we're sort of, I think we're booked up with guests until about September now. But if you've got anybody in your network you think is brilliant, you've enjoyed this, then do let me know who you think might enjoy this experience.
Yeah, let me wrap my head around that and come back to you with that one. I'm sure I can pinpoint one or two people from my network that are great contributors and leaders that could add value to you and to your tribe.
And the thing I'm really, this whole area of elevating your thinking and such elevating your consciousness as a leader, such as that you can make a bigger contribution. I've been working for a couple of years with one of the guys who he responsible for launching NLP across Europe and set up all the training centers. And we've been doing some thinking and created a model around this. And I started something called the Elevation Collective. So I have a group of amazing people who were working together to elevate consciousness to make a bigger contribution. And I put a trial group together. I've been bowled over by it. I can't believe the feedback from that group and how much they love each other. And so I'm going to, in September, October, I'm going to start to launch and develop this as another aspect. But it might be nice to bounce it off you at some stage.
Yeah, are they business owners, business leaders? What are they with? Well,
in the present group, we've got a guy who was he's a business leader. He was one of the senior guys in NASCAR in the States, and now is chief marketing officer of the biggest organic farm in North America. Wow. We've got a 3 times best-selling author, a lady who's best kept secret coach, worked with 60% of the FTSE 100 at board level. So there's just an amazing a lady who's creating a gentle marketing revolution, authentic marketing. And I just asked these people as a trial, really, to see what would it be like if I brought them into a space, just 8, and facilitate a very, an in-depth conversation. And they have just, it's sort of taking a life of its own at the moment. And I've got the most amazing testimonials from them. It's just astonishing. And I'm thinking if we could build a community like this of people who are special in their own right and have a big kind of reach, but we bring those kinds of people together, they'll have a bigger ripple effect and create a community. Community with them. So I'm not interested in 10 times your business necessarily. The kind of US sort of model. It's almost like 10 times your consciousness. So after 6 sessions, they were all saying they were much better. They felt they were much better leaders than, and that's what I'm really interested in. This point you make about we need leaders to step up right now. So we need to bring them into a space to get to trust and love and
that's why I take people to the bush. So you disconnect from this and you reconnect to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because where I go, there's no Wi-Fi and stuff.
No.
we go deep into the bush. Yeah.
Yeah.
But good. No, listen, stay in touch. I mean, first of all, are we connected on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook? Are we connected in that space?
I hope our assistant has done that, but I'll make sure that we are.
Please do, because I'd love to stay connected. And listen, of course, if you've got like a group of people, or you'd like to maybe put together a mastermind, or you'd like me to speak, or maybe do something, I mean, just reach out and let's keep the lines of communication open. I know this is not the last time we're going to see each other. So
thank you. Thank you. And I think that's the mastermind. I'm not calling it a mastermind, but the group said you're doing a disservice if you call it a mastermind. It's more than that. So that's what I'm wanting to create, a community with a number of these groups, such that we can then invite amazing people to talk. We're never still with a speaker. And I've done 410 hours of this now. This is the 10th year.
By the way, you are excellent. The way you talk, the way you communicate. I'm sitting there, I'm like, if I'm listening, wow, I'm tuned in. You've got a very nice voice. I'm like, shit, I got to get me a voice like that.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Yeah, well, we're 10 years old on the 3rd of September. I'm kind of one of the early ones, really, and I've stuck it out. I've kept on going and going and going. And,
I think you mentioned 10 years.
Yeah, it's not many that are this old. I mean, it might be foolish, but I'm addicted to it. I love doing it,
I'm sure.
Cool.
Good. My friend, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Let's get a picture together. If it's okay, I'd give you some love on social media.
Thank you. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get a shot. Okay, let's see how we do that. There we go. There we go. Big smiles. Ooh, drop the camera. That doesn't help. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, wait, I can do it even better like this. Okay, big smiles. I think I got it.
Excellent. I can take a screenshot as well, actually.
Yeah, if you can take a screenshot, that'd be better.
Okay.
How do you take a screenshot?
Yeah, so are you so do that? Get out of the way. See what that one looks like. Oh, that's nice. That's really nice, actually. I'll send you that one. So yeah, so if you got a Mac?
I do.
Okay, yeah. So it's the Command key, and then plus the up arrow. Yeah. And then click 4, and you.
So Command key up arrow. Command.
Hold it, and then press 4, and you'll get like a little cross with a circle in the middle, and where the cursor is. That turns into like a little cross and a circle. So command and the up key, so the one above FN.
Command.
Up, and hold those two together. Then press 4.
Okay.
Then you get this. Have you got the cross and the circle?
Yes.
You hold that, and you just move that across the page, and you go click.
I move that across the page. What does that mean?
So basically, you've got to. What it does then is it identifies that area that you want to take the photo image.
Okay.
So command up and 4.
I've got that. I've got the arrow on my screen.
Excellent. Now what you do is you press the space bar, and then you just slide it across with your fingers. Keep hold of it, and then you can take a photo.
Okay. And where does this picture go to?
It'll go into your files. It'll be into recents.
So I press the space bar, and then I've got now a little camera.
Command up 4, you're going to get a cross, and then you just hold it with the space bar. So click the space bar, and then just hold it. I hold it with my thumb, and then I just move it across with my fingers, and it identifies the space on the screen. You let go, and it's taken a photo.
Okay.
I'll explain. Command C4. Click on the corner.
Oh, it took one.
Took one, yeah, and then you just take it and let it go.
Wow, you just taught me something. That's amazing. Wow, click 4. That's crazy. Come on, there, 4. Okay. Okay, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it. Very cool.
There you go. So you can
Hello.
use
Oh,
that.
it's a really good picture of us.
Yeah, mine is too. So you can use that anytime you want. It's for anything really. I use
Thank
it
you. I
regularly.
appreciate that.
You're
Listen, my
welcome.
man, I'm going to let you go. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Grateful and appreciate it. Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah, me too.
Oh, when is it going to go? Is there, so is it
Sure.
is there going to also be a recording? Is it going to be YouTube? What's
Okay, right. So basically what's happening is that went out live in about 2 hours on Voice America. It'll have been turned into a recording on the show. So have you been to the show page at all? Probably.
I have, but a while ago, not now.
Yeah, so it's gonna feature in here in a couple of hours. The recording will be available, and you can download it from there. You can embed it as well, so you can embed the interview, and it'll play from your website. It's great. I can make sure my assistant sends it across on Monday, if you like, with the links. We usually do.
Can you send it to the info at Arnon? Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed to come through your PA before, which causes probably a little bit of confusion. So we'll send it. We'll make sure that goes to you at info, and then so you'll get the embed code. But it's only audio on Voice America because it is a radio channel. It will air a couple of times during the week again on the channel, and it goes into the archive, and then it'll be on Spotify, Google Play, all those different places, and Voice America handle that. In terms of the video today, I only actually managed to pay a small fortune to get fiber into my house about 2 months ago. So I've not been able to, I'd sort of poor analog being in the countryside here. Now I've got good fiber, I'm able to record at the same time, but I do need to, I need to employ someone really to turn these into useful content. But I can send you that raw footage if you want to do something with it.
Please do. I'd appreciate that.
So I'll send
and anything we do with that, we'll let you know. So we'll tag you and send you some love.
Yeah, that's lovely. So what I'll do next week is I'll send you that on WeTransfer, that raw footage.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And then you can just do what you do as you see fit with it, and let me know. I'll like it too.
Okay, great. Good.
Brilliant, Arnon.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for your time. Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.